I'm the CEO of Forward, and I'm bringing together fantastic brains and minds that are able to help us understand where we are and where we're going, and to inspire us with their wisdom. I am more than happy to be presenting today Paul Fairbrother. He is Hootsuite's Facebook advertising specialist, where he is head of training and education for Ad Espresso, a subsidiary of Hootsuite. I'm in Vancouver, which is where Hootsuite is headquartered. Paul is in the UK, near a beach somewhere, and Paul is a Facebook Blueprint certified individual or media specialist, which means that he is able to develop Facebook campaigns. And it's just such a pleasure to have you here, Paul.
Hi, Caroline. It's great to catch up. It's great to be on your show today.
Thank you very much. So I'm really keen because this show is clearly all about how we can be inspired to move forward. We've had the most disruptive 6 months in our history, and it's been universal. So I'm really curious to find out from you, what are you stoked about?
I'm stoked about this. Has never been a better time to set up your own business and to really promote yourself. The reason for that is you can really spread the word with marketing these days. So it doesn't matter whether you do paid Facebook ads or just what we call organic and paid social media. There's the opportunity to spread your message out there like never before. Let's cast our mind back a moment to 1999, which is 21 years ago. Yes. I was managing a cycle store then, or what I would call a bike shop in the UK. And to do promotion then, you needed the latest digital camera, which had just came out, which was £1,000, so close to $1,500 for a 3 megapixel camera. Like it wasn't very good, but that was the cutting edge tech. A laptop was £1,400, so close to $2,000 just for a basic laptop. And then to create a newsletter, forget MailChimp and all these e-newsletters, you actually had to print it. So you would get a laser printer the size of a house, which you'd have on the desk there, which cost another £1,000. And then you'd have to have the toner cartridges, then the stamps, you'd have to go down the post office, send out these things. So the expense there just to get going was like £4,000, so $5,000, $6,000 just to do a basic newsletter. And then there'd be that recurring cost. And the time consuming, because you'd have to physically paste these out. Now, if you've got your cell phone with you, you can be on social media in real time, or you can be streaming like we are live with very little cost or no cost at all. So you can really, the marketing opportunity, sometimes people don't realize how much it's evolved in the last 20 years. We've never had it cheaper. We've never had a better way to go and spread our word there.
Wow. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. There's so much that you can actually do now. And I remember those days as well. Back in the 90s, I was launching PlayStation, and actually it's 25 years old this month in Europe. And at that time, we had to use couriers to deliver contracts. Now we use DocuSign. It was just so much more complicated to get things done. And it was so slow and cumbersome. Back then, you had to wait until, a game was complete, let's say in January, and then it had to be built in Austria, and then onto CDs, and then it had to be shipped across to wherever. Now you can just download it with one click of a control pad. So you're right, everything has just changed so much. But how do you look at it from when you just talked about how things have changed? How do you see this changing, this exciting aspect changing for individuals and obviously for organizations?
Well, I just think that it's going to increase this opportunity to just get the message out there. One thing that's really important is that you do need to invest in some of the right tech. And what we're seeing now with, we probably can't avoid the subject for the whole of this talk, but with coronavirus, with lockdown, what we were seeing at first when we were in March was that it was all a bit new, a bit exciting for people working remotely and working from home, and that was kind of phase one. What we're seeing now as we're coming out of lockdown and we're not back to normal, but people are now digging in for the long-term working from home, is we're seeing phase two. And what I mean by that is the company I work for, Hootsuite, apart from a handful of people in 4 offices, we're going to work from home globally until at least July 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is that, that first kind of novel period is now changing. And we're now, companies are now investing in good tools for working from home. So it's like, do these people need new laptops? Do they need better laptops to cope with video conferencing? That's a problem we found, is that, you might have a nice MacBook, but you might need to upgrade it if you're spending all day on Zoom. Do you need better microphones? Do you need webcams? So we're now kind of moving that. This has been happening for about 5 years. People have been working more remotely and more using online collaboration tools. But now we're getting this phase where people are taking it seriously. And one thing that's helping, I think, is that where these companies are giving up their offices or making them smaller, we all know the cost of a Vancouver, a New York, or a London office. A London office is equivalent of $600-700 per month per desk. Now, you've only got to invest like 3 or 4 months of that into your staff working remotely, and you start getting some really good tools to really take that kind of online collaboration and promotion to the next level there.
Very interesting. So what you're saying here is it's a benefit if organizations decide or prefer to take the route of moving their people into a remote or distributed workforce, so that they're able to use that funding that they were because everybody was so used to everyone working in an office. They're able to be more creative and probably use that for more wisely.
Yeah, it's like the previous job I did. The first day I joined, I was their social media manager, really busy for an international cafe chain with about 60 to 70 social media accounts. So you obviously need a fast computer to handle this.
Yeah.
So I go and get my laptop, and what they do is they go to the filing cabinet, they go to the very bottom drawer, open it, dust out this old laptop. And it just kept crashing. And there's a reason why. There's a reason why laptops are in the bottom drawer. So I returned it after a week and said, "Look, this has crashed literally 30 times." So then they went to the laptop below that one, which you just know is going to be worse.
Oh no!
This is traditionally how companies have treated online working, is that they just get the oldest, most knackered laptop. Everybody was on a different version of Microsoft Office. So you would send a colleague a document and they're like, "I can't open this. I'm using PowerPoint 2010." I'd be like, "I've got PowerPoint 2016. What do you mean?" So what I ended up doing was actually, I just got so fed up with it. I went and bought my own MacBook. I went and bought my own Microsoft Office subscription. And within that time, with about 6 months, I had got a pay rise. Within 12 months, I had left that job and doubled my salary. So,
Wow.
the right tools make such a difference. Everybody else was in the office there, like, cursing their computers crashing. I was just like, bought my own Mac, going to get on with it. I'm going to get promoted. I'm going to leave this job. This is what we're sort of seeing now, is that companies are really starting to take remote working, collaboration properly as it deserves, probably because they're investing less in the office. They can afford to invest that in tools instead.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. So one of the questions I like to ask everybody is, when John Lewis died, the phrase "making good trouble" has been, it's almost been like it's been tattooed into my mind. So what kind of good trouble are you creating, Paul?
Well, I don't know if it's trouble, but I've been helping a lot of businesses pivot from offline bricks and mortar to online using Facebook and Instagram ads. The great thing about Facebook and Instagram ads is you just get that distribution, is you can get your message out there to hundreds of thousands of people. So, for example, let's put it this way. Everybody thinks that Facebook advertising's like, evil, it's spammy, but you've got to think about the companies behind it. So I help fair trade companies. One of my companies, they collaborate with basket weavers in Oaxaca, Mexico. By selling their products in the US, they're sending kids to school in Mexico. This is making a big difference. So, there's also, I've had one of my sort of colleagues in the office across from mine, like a collaborator. She works with fair trade organizations in Nepal. So this is making a big difference. Sometimes you're sat there behind the computer and it's like, look, I'm looking at this screen. It's quite boring, but you're making a big difference to people's lives across the world here. So that's a really good motivation. Sometimes when I just can't be bothered, I've looked at Facebook Ads Manager all day. You've got to remember the humans behind this. A lot of my clients as well, they're kind of your mom and pop small businesses. This really impacts their life. This isn't just some faceless organization. By running ads, by promoting their products, by getting the sales, it makes a big difference to so many people's lives across the world there. So that's my sort of mission, is really helping these small, medium businesses, eat the lunch, take on these big guys out there. We're really changing things at quite a pace. Before, unless you were big and had this big agency and you could buy TV ads and ads in the New York Times and that, you couldn't get anywhere. Now you can work so much faster than them. So that's the kind of trouble I'm trying to create, is help small businesses leapfrog over the big guys.
I like that. Help the underdogs to be able to thrive, because yes, that is very noble, and I really like that. Thank you very much. So, you're doing this. You're used to working with a very large company like Hootsuite. For some, Hootsuite will be huge. For others, it's like, who's Hootsuite? But for those who don't know, Hootsuite creates this wonderful platform, so you're able to share your social media and all of these different channels, and you're able to look at all of the analytics. And Paul at Espresso creates the ad campaigns that go through Facebook and Instagram. So one of the things that I think is really important right now, we're in COVID times. People really don't know how to. Social media right now is actually really, really challenging. There's a lot of doom scrolling out there. How do you, as a social media advertiser on Facebook and Instagram, help your clients or individuals understand how to transition into this new environment?
The nice thing with Facebook and Instagram ads is that you can start them for $1 a day. So you don't have to be 100% committed, going to pivot your entire business. You can start and you can test the waters. The nice thing with Facebook, and the scary thing for me as an advertiser, is you get full tracking. So it's not like the old fashioned TV, radio, magazine, billboard advertising where you don't know if it's working. I think there's a famous kind of quote in advertising, so I'm paraphrasing, but they used to say that half of the advertising you put out is working. The trouble is you don't know which half. And now you do. Now you know exactly what's working, so you're not wasting your money. So I say to people not sure about it, look, just try it. You're not having to book campaigns a month in advance like I used to do with magazines. You can,
those old days, terrible.
So you can come up with an idea in the morning, execute it in the afternoon. You get the full. You can literally see dollars in versus dollars out. So there's nowhere for me to hide, but great for clients, so they can start it. And what I found throughout this year is just kind of stick to the course and get on with it. That small businesses, I totally understand, things have changed very, very quickly, and they get sidetracked and they're worried about this and they're worried about that. And, is anybody going to buy my product now? And what we found is the brands that have succeeded are the ones that have just stayed the course. They've just carried on. It doesn't matter if lockdown's starting or lockdown's ending or whatever's going on in the world, just like carry on advertising and carry on building up your brand. There was a thing in, I think it was July, about Facebook boycott, and there's always this talk about people leaving Facebook. But what we found is, for the last 10 years, and my advertisers were like, should I pull ads and things? And I said, no, you're just going to carry on as normal. And they had some really good months. And saying, well, whatever has happened during this year, the ones that have any regrets are the ones that kind of pulled their advertising when the world was still changing in March and April. The ones that just stayed the course and said, we're just going to carry on as business as normal, they're the ones that just succeeded. They've come out of this very, very strong. So that's the kind of message. Like, obviously, if something's going to affect your business, then you need to respond. But if it's just external noise, just jettison that. Just be blinkered and just carry on. Stay with your plan that you created at the beginning of the year.
Very good. Yes, because you'll find that CEOs and various people will just panic and they'll just
Yes.
withdraw everything and they're only with like stopping the campaigns because they're just scared. They don't know
Yeah.
when really. So yeah, you have to stay the course to some degree. So, what are your predictions? Do you have any predictions?
Do you mean like for advertising or business in
I'd
general,
say
or?
business, people working from home and business and what have you, and how they can start.
I would say I think with a lot of workforces, certainly what we're seeing in the UK, we're going to see a more of a hybrid model. So people will still meet up to go and have that one-to-one interaction and collaboration,
Mm.
but some of their core work is going to be at home. And saying that kind of investment that businesses are now putting in is going to help. So yeah, the idea of 9 to 5 commuting the office is over. I've worked from home well, I started originally in 2007, but I've been doing it full
Wow.
time for the last 6 years. And what I found is it really helps your energy. So it just means that you get that afternoon slump. You can just take some time off. You can get back to it later. My other half, she started working from home in March and she just couldn't sleep at first. Not because of stress, but just because she wasn't tired enough because she wasn't going to her office anymore.
Ah.
So people are having to, sometimes they've got that extra energy. What do we do with it there?
Mm.
Something I will say is before we got acquired by Hootsuite, the subsidiary I work for at Espresso, it's an Italian company based in Milan with a satellite office in Rome. And being British, it took me a while to get used to their culture because I'm used to this 24/7 remote working pattern where I actually had a call at 8 o'clock this morning, my time, with Melbourne, Australia, which was their evening. And then this is now 7 p.m. Vancouver. I go around the world. And because, in Britain, we're arrogant. We invented time zones. We have Greenwich Mean Time, which is the middle of all time zone. So we can go both ways during the day. And yeah, it's kind of, if you're not careful, you can just work from 7 a.m. to, but working for an Italian company, they were like, Paul, do not work weekends. Paul, take some time off in the evenings, like have lunch. And I was like, these Italians are lazy. Like they don't do anything. And then what I realized is I got it totally wrong. Is what they're interested in is deep work. So that when you're at work, you are present and you do really proper, meaningful work. And then you switch off at weekends and you recharge with friends and family and good food and good wine. So it's not a case of like, if you're not working all the time, it's not that you're being lazy. It's the fact that you can then do really proper work that's going to move the needle. And, they went from being a startup with literally zero revenue to exiting in one of the biggest acquisitions of that year in Italy to Hootsuite within 5 years. And you don't do that by answering email within 5 minutes and on a Sunday. You've got to have that time off. So I think that's really important. We need to see more of this culture, especially kind of North America. We see this always on culture, and that kind of needs to change. So yeah, this is why I say I think we're only just starting in like the proper phase of working from home. There's a lot more coming down the line that's going to be changing.
Yes, I think you're probably right. So, what's one tip you can give people to sign off on from this show?
If you've got your own business, I'll give you 2 tips very quickly. The first is capture email addresses whenever possible. Being able to build those relationships and remarket by them to email, very cheap. You can just contact them for years to come. People now think, oh, email's been around 20 years. It's really dull. It's really boring. Nobody uses it. They're all on TikTok. They're not. Email is still the biggest revenue driver. The second thing, and I'm going to be really biased here, but if you're not running Facebook and Instagram ads so far, give them a try for a couple of dollars, see what they do. That we need to go and spread that message out there. We've all got good ideas and we need to let the world know about them. So we need to promote them because Facebook's a paid to play platform in some respects these days. And if you don't go and promote yourself there, you just don't reach that many people. So use email marketing, try Facebook ads. If they don't work, you've only lost a few dollars, but get your message out there to as many people as possible.
Paul, thank you so much for joining me today in my morning, your evening. So much, so grateful for your time.
Thank you, Caroline. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.